Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Formula. This is week 9 of the DFS slate. Crazy to think that we are already to week 9 of the NFL season, but here we are. Last week, we absolutely crushed with our picks. Our Tua, Waddle or Hill, which way you went. Definitely won you some money if you did follow us along here. PB, unfortunately, is not here right now. His wife just gave birth to their firstborn son.
Newest member of the podcast.
Newest member of the
Brady.
podcast. Yeah.
Brady Barnes.
Brady Blaze Barnes, the triple B.
Yeah. So unfortunately, he's not here to give his insight and picks, which I desperately missed because if you follow us on Instagram or anything like that, he walked away with $8,000 last week. So listening to us definitely pays off. We are winning most weeks here, and
I think that was his third week in a row winning over $1,000 in a week.
Yeah, he's been on fire. I was doing pretty well. I had I had 6 out of the correct 9 for the Millie Maker. I was in 20th place heading into the fourth quarter of the early games, and then kind of went downhill. But we're right there. We're on the edge. We're very close. So
I would have won the Millie Maker last week. I switched out AJ Brown and Jalen Waddle last minute.
even if you had AJ Brown with what he did was in the winning lineup. So
Yeah, but I had Conklin who had 20 something points. I don't know. It's fine.
Right.
We don't have to revisit that.
Yeah, we'll try to hit the winning lottery ticket for you guys this Sunday. So let's jump right into it with our quarterback plays. We'll give you a couple of ones that we like. We'll kind of talk about cash games and GPP plays as well. So starting off with quarterbacks, what do we like here, boys?
At the high end, I'm looking at what I think is going to be the highest scoring game on the slate. Seattle, Arizona. Kyler Murray is probably my top high end QB. Obviously, I mean you can consider Josh Allen every single week pretty much. But in terms of actual game and points, I think Kyler Murray has a chance to put up some big numbers this week.
Yeah, I think there's some good value. So I'm not playing a ton of Josh Allen. My favorite quarterback this week is Kirk Cousins in his revenge tour with Washington. We saw they just traded away their best cornerback to an already pretty lackluster secondary. So they're actually not terrible against the run. So I think they're going to lean more on the passing game. And I love a good Justin Jefferson stack. So I think this is going to be a big day for those two. Love the addition of Hawkinson. Maybe see him get in there a little bit, open things up for Jefferson and Thielen more. So I like the added emphasis that organization's putting on the passing game. So for $6,200, I really like Kirk Cousins this week.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you guys there with Kirk Cousins. I like the Kyler play. The Kyler play just, I don't know, that offense just is so sporadic. I mean, definitely having D-Hop back, second week in a row, and D-Hop has put up at least 20 points in his first 2 games. So if you are doing Kyler, obviously you're going to be stacking with D-Hop. I actually really like Justin Herbert, just below Kyler here at 7,200, going against Atlanta. Atlanta's secondary just got absolutely torched by PJ Walker. I know Carolina got there on the ground game with
Foreman.
Who?
Foreman.
Yeah, Foreman put up 3 touchdowns. I mean, those easily could have been passing touchdowns. So I'm liking Justin Herbert here. I think it's a good solid play at 7,200. He's got the pass catchers. He's got the running back to go with him.
Not to rain on your storm, but I want to keep you honest here. All right. Mike Williams is out with a high ankle sprain. Keenan Allen's quads are still tightening up. So he says that he's probably not going to play until he's 100%. So 2 biggest pass catchers out. I think you're going to have a tough time, I think.
You know what?
Hitting his ceiling.
I definitely forgot to look. Forgot that Mike Williams was out.
I know.
Okay, so,
no Mike for a couple of weeks.
But, I mean, you never know. Like Jared Goff's best game, he was missing his top 4 targets. So
yeah, I know. But maybe that makes me want to pivot off of that and go a different direction.
In tournament, though, Herbert's still got the juice to get there, and I think a lot of people are going to pivot off of him because of his top two guys being out. It's just a matter of like, do you think with those two guys out, can he still reach a ceiling in a tournament? Because he's probably going to be pretty low owned with that.
He'll be sub 3% owned with those guys missing, which then I guess we'll talk about later with the receiving core, what you can get for the value there, because you're gonna have Josh Palmer and Carter and Everett. So we'll reach back on that. But I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Tua again. I still think he's pretty cheap for his price, 6,700. Going against the Bears secondary. Bears just got rid of their two of their best defensive players with Roquan and Robert Quinn. Their secondary though is pretty decent. So people might be chasing points here. But I think with what he has available, he's the two best receivers like tandem in the league. So him at 6,700, and then one more before I'll let you guys go. Aaron Rodgers, 5,900. When was the last time you saw Aaron Rodgers below 6,500 or six? I mean, this season he's been
maybe ever.
But they're playing the Lions, who absolutely just got torched by Tua. I know Tua has better receiving options, but I mean, 5,900 for the two-time MVP here is. I mean,
he hasn't broke more than 17 points all season though.
I know, but
it's crazy. Like that team is just so bad right now. I'm just kind of done playing like the bounce backs personally. Riding the hot hands.
All right.
I do think we've seen a lot of, though, like, to go back to Herbert for a second, I feel like a lot of the at least recent weeks that we've called out guys who are near the top of their respective price range by position, I think have been fairly optimal plays most weeks recently, with their low ownership too. So I even though Herbert's got some work to do, it honestly might put a little bit more work on his shoulders, and you might see some more attempts and potentially still reaching his ceiling there. So definitely, I still think keep an eye on him.
Yeah. But all right. Well, I feel like those are the quarterbacks that we liked. Josh Allen at the top. I mean, we're gonna like him every week. Just below him, Kyler. I guess you could throw Geno into that mix as well with that if you think that's gonna be a high scoring game. Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is gonna be really high on this week. And then also Aaron Rodgers at the that minimum or that 5,900. At the minimum is 5K is Sammy Gunslinger, Ellinger again, and then you also have the Patriots quarterbacks as well.
Don't forget too, I alluded to this in our betting show, but I think that the Dolphins-Bears game is actually going to surprise a lot of people points-wise. And Justin Fields has been putting up good numbers fantasy-wise the last two and a half weeks. Coming off 20-point, 24, 26-point games. He's obviously always a threat in the run game. Always a threat in the red zone too. They're designing runs for him, especially in the red zone to get into the end zone. And I do think that game is actually going to be pretty high scoring. For
game. Since you're kind of a Bears aficionado, any reports on Claypool's status? Are you going to throw him in there at all, or we're going to have to wait a little bit?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. He just got to the building yesterday, so my guess is there may be a small package of like go routes for him, but probably not enough to deem a play.
Yeah, any of those.
I do like the Fields play for 5,300 though.
Yeah, if they're going to be behind this game, which you got to assume they will be, him running the ball and throwing the ball, I like the Fields play at that price too. Like you said, the more designed runs have definitely boosted his fantasy value moving forward. Any of those offensive players that just got traded this week probably aren't going to have any role. If they might have a small one, but I do think
not enough for fantasy.
Out of all of them, though, I think that Jeff Wilson Jr., I haven't looked at his price yet, but he would be the one guy that sticks out to me a little bit because he's going from one system to the same system, essentially. He's played with Mike McDaniels for a couple of years at the 49ers. Obviously, same system, like I said, but yeah, agreed. If he's not extremely cheap, he's still the backup to Mostert for now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
4,900.
All right. So speaking of that, yeah, let's move into the running backs here. Top 5 running backs here. Nick, let's start with you. Who are you looking at?
Yeah. I mean, I think Eckler's probably the biggest beneficiary to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams being out. I don't think Atlanta really has the skill set to like stack the box and dominate them from stopping Austin Eckler. He is really expensive, maybe the most we've seen him cost all year. But I think this is probably the game that he could hit that ceiling. Outside of that, I really like Travis Etienne this week for $6,300. We saw they got rid of James Robinson. They're just fully committed to Etienne. It took him a couple weeks to get on track, but he's got the pass catching threat, and he's got the lion's share of the running game pretty much in his pocket against a pretty subpar Las Vegas defense. So he's kind of my favorite running back play this week. And I also think at the same price, Kenneth Walker against Arizona could be a pretty fun play.
Yeah. Bouncing back before you go here, Alex, to Austin Eckler. Last 2 weeks, he's played 10 receptions and 12 receptions. He had 16 targets and then 12 targets.
Insane.
That is a running back, guys.
PPR monster.
Yeah. I mean, he ran. So his last game he played was against Seattle. He ran the ball 9 times. He had 12.
How many points did he end with?
He ended up with 36.7 points on DraftKings.
Absolutely.
With 9 rushing attempts. That's absurd. Yeah. So I like the Eckler call as well. Alex, who are you looking at?
Yeah, going back to that Miami-Chicago game, the Bears just got absolutely sliced and diced last week in the run game. So I'm looking at Raheem Mostert at 6,100 there, kind of a mid-range guy, a lot of speed. Again, I think there's going to be a good amount of points in this game, and Bears run defense, on top of being bad, just got weaker, getting rid of Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith, basically our 2 best run stoppers. So Raheem Mostert's definitely a guy I'm keeping an eye on. And who else was I looking at? There's one other guy that popped out.
I mean, sticking to that game, you're playing Khalil Herbert more than Montgomery these days, right?
He fits that for whatever reason. I think Montgomery's a better running back in general, but for whatever reason, Khalil Herbert's style has fit the offense significantly better. They're both getting 12 to 15 touches a game. Yeah. Bears have topped 200 rush yards in the past 3 games. So between Fields, Montgomery, and Herbert, like they're all getting yards, they're all getting carries. And Herbert gets some of the third down kind of pass catching duty as well. So get a little bit of a added bonus there PPR wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, it's just, that's so hard to pick that backfield, especially when everyone's healthy. It's just like, I mean, it's like throwing darts in the dark. I mean, you don't know where you're going to hit. So play that at your own risk. I mean, it's a little scary, but I'm going to be looking up, talking about the higher range. Dude, Aaron Jones going against Detroit. If you like, he's the pass catcher running back there, but last week he got all the carries against Buffalo, a pretty decent run team. 20 attempts, 143 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, I don't believe.
No.
So, I mean, everyone's afraid of AJ Dillon, but I mean, Aaron Jones is by far the superior running back there, and against this Lions team, which I wanted to attack, I think he's a great play. Also moving down here, I think that's literally the only, I mean, Eckler, Jones. I'm not really a big fan of Dalvin Cook this week. I know he had a pretty good game last week, but I just think that the Vikings get there through the passing game and not the run game this week. you can always look at Josh Jacobs for a bounce back game. I mean, I just think
I
I'd
don't
rather
love it against the Jags.
what?
I don't love it against the Jags. They got a good linebacking core. Who's the guy they just drafted one overall?
Oh, the kid from Georgia.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't
Not
be.
Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So I don't like Jacobs as much this week. Also coming off a Raiders stinker of a game.
yeah.
I'm just kind of fading all the Raiders at this point
Yeah.
so they could show me something else.
I feel like they have it. They still have some juice there, but
I think so too. My one problem with Jacobs is his price got run up so much because of those 3 games that he had where he just went absolutely off, and we have now seen that the Raiders can put up a dud, and so like at 7,300, you might completely waste your entire lineup if he puts up a 10 spot.
Oh yeah, no, you're definitely right. A couple more running backs here, then we'll move on to the most important position, which is receiver. Ramondre Stevenson going against my Colts. At 6,200, I think he's definitely someone to look at. I will say though, Shaquille Leonard will be fully back this week. He was in and out of the lineup last week. We also did just lose Tyquan Lewis, one of our better run stoppers, to a knee injury. Ramondre Stevenson has that backfield locked down. Harris is just kind of an afterthought at this point now. He does get some touches, which will stink, but I still think Ramondre Stevenson is a good play. Also to note, Jonathan Taylor has missed 2 practices in a row now. And they just trade away Hines. So that leaves the bag of bones, Zach Moss, and Deion Jackson. And if you do remember when Deion Jackson did play that 1 week, he had 10 catches and he topped 100 yards rushing. He's a good runner from Duke. So if you are looking for something that maybe go a little bit long, and that might be a cash game play because they still have him priced up. He's 5,200. Especially going against the Patriots defense, maybe not the greatest matchup, but he is a starting running back at 5,200. Yeah. If Taylor's out, which it's kind of looking like he probably won't be out.
Will be or won't be?
He misses 2 practices. The Colts run offense right now is pretty abysmal. So it's like, play this at your own risk. But he was in the winning lineup a couple weeks ago for a couple people there. And I think that does it probably for the running back situation. So now, like we always say every week, receiving options are the way that you win money in tournaments, because this is where you get different. There's a lot of options here. So at the top of the table, who are we liking, boys?
We already called out. I mean, obviously, we talk about this every week. A lot of your top receiving option is going to be tied to your quarterback, right? So we already called out 2 guys at the top here: Justin Jefferson, 8,600. My opinion, best receiver in the league, and D Hop. If you like the Seattle Arizona game, or Kyler Murray. Hopkins is in his 2 games back, 14 targets, 13 targets, over 100 yards in both, and a touchdown, sick one-handed grab. So, both of those guys are going to get a ton of looks. They're going to get quality looks in the red zone, and they're also deep ball, long play threats. So kind of checking all the boxes of a top wide receiver for me in DFS. So those are the 2 guys I'm looking at up there.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think I'll probably play some Amon-Ra St. Brown this week. The Sun God, he's back healthy. Not too many other receiving options, so I just think off pure volume alone for 6,600, he should get 10 to 15 targets, no question. And I think he's pretty talented, so I like that upside, even though Green Bay's got a tough defense. Jari Alexander's kind of known for being a lockdown cornerback, but I don't know. I think with that volume, he'll still, produce pretty well. There's not a ton of receivers that I'm crazy about this week, to be honest. I kind of like a lot of the safe plays, D-Hop and Justin Jefferson, which is kind of why I went cheap at quarterback this week. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I was looking at DK and Lockett. They've been kind of going off too in that 6K range, but Byron Murphy is probably going to take out Lockett. So I think DK could be a pretty good play. Yeah, there's not a whole else I'm in love with here.
Yeah, no, I think Tyreek Hill and Waddle, they're priced up now after what they did last week. Hill 8,500, Waddle 7,400. But the Jay Jets call 8,600. I think he's probably going to be up there as decently owned, which he should be because of what he can do to the secondary. You see T Higgins is up at 7,300. He got priced up now because of Jamar Chase is out. He's the only option there. Even Tyler Boyd got priced up, which I thought was the Tyler Boyd at 6,300 is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But I'm going to look at another Colts player, Michael Pittman. He's below 7,000 now. He's at 6,800. Sammy Gunslinger threw target 9 times last week. He's still obviously the alpha there. And I think that, just on pure volume, what Nick talked about with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pittman is in kind of the same category there about getting the target share. He's only scored 1 time this year. That was the very first game. So look for him. I think he can get on track and be a safety valve for Sam Allen here. But I mean, dude, you're right, Nick. There's not a lot of receivers that I'm really liking this week. Romeo Dukes, 5,300. Again, I'm going to be talking about that game. He got into the end zone last week against Buffalo.
He had an insane catch.
Yeah,
the whole spinorama.
Yeah, I honestly like him. Again, to attack this Detroit secondary is something I mean. Also, if you do like the Minnesota-Washington game, Scary Terry is 5,900. Dude, 5,900 against the Vikings have a pretty beat up secondary as well. It's a very good bring back. He had 8 targets last week, 6 receptions, over 100 yards.
They're going to be throwing a lot.
They are going to be throwing a lot because Minnesota is a little bit better on the ground than they are in the secondary. So that's kind of mids here. What about below the 5K range where we find these diamonds in the rough here, boys?
Going to the Chargers here, Joshua Palmer, 5,100. Got 12 targets last game against Denver. Didn't have a huge outing, 57 yards, 14 or 15-ish fantasy points, and DeAndre Carter, 7 targets. Again, only 7 points, but when you've got Keenan Allen, this is obviously depending on him. He didn't practice, I think, today or yesterday with that hamstring. So if he's playing, I'm definitely backing off of those 2 guys a little bit more. But in terms of the cheaper options, if Keenan Allen's out, you've got Justin Herbert throwing to wide receiver 1 at 5,100 salary. That's pretty hard to top, in my opinion. Kind of reminds me of some of the weeks like a Deion Jackson, like we were talking about, where the top guy goes down and the prices are factored in prior to that. So you're seeing some value there. Again, though, in tournaments, it can be your detriment because they could get up to 30-40% owned.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they will be in that price range as well. But would be kind of unique here though, if you double stacked, Carter and Palmer there with you could even go 4, you can go or 3, sorry, Eckler, Palmer, and Carter.
Everett. Or Everett too.
Or Everett too. That would be super unique. Definitely not a lot of people would be going that route, I don't think. Then you can pay up other places as well. But dude, you're right. There's not a lot of players.
The cheapest I'm going is 4,700 and 4,800 with Darnell Mooney and Garrett Wilson, both wide receiver 1s. We saw Zach Wilson, I think, threw for 350 yards last week. So encouraging signs that he could get over that mark. That's an impressive amount of yards. And I think Garrett Wilson was the main receiver. Elijah Moore, who we know has been disgruntled on that team, has pretty much been faded out of all game plans at this point. So it's kind of opened the door for Garrett Wilson, young rookie, to step in and show everyone what he's got. Put up 20 points last week. So he's got a tough matchup, but I like the opportunity there for the price. And then Darnell Mooney, like Alex was saying earlier, Fields is looking better, starting to feel comfortable in that offense. it's him and Velus Jones out there, and Velus Jones is nothing to write home about right now. So
Quite the
I'm
second
sure
round
Fields.
draft pick.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, he dropped that touchdown last week. That was tough.
I from this point on in this podcast and however long we do this, we will never, ever, ever mention the name Robbie Anderson ever again.
I'm just gonna in the recordings anytime he gets dropped in there, just bleep. It'll just be the bleep from here on out.
Because PB has said him in years past, and this year we said him, like, no, do not play him. He sucks. He's not good at football right now. I don't care what Cliff Kingsbury says. Like, yeah, we'll get more involved. No, you won't, because he's not a good player. You got Elijah, or you got the other Moore there. You got Greg Dortch. I'd rather play those guys. The last receiver we'll talk about, and then before we go on to tight ends and then build our lineup here. There's one player that every year has like an insane blow up game, and then he doesn't do anything for the rest of the year. That's Sammy Watkins. 3,600 Sammy Watkins for the Green Bay Packers. Again, attacking the Lions secondary. He only got 3 targets last week against Buffalo, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers right now just hates every person on his receiving core. So I 36. I honestly think this is a game where Aaron Rodgers throws for like 500 yards. So I honestly think Sammy Watkins is a look at 3,600. Because besides that, there's not really anyone else in that range where I'd be like, yeah, I'd play him at this price range. So I think that does it for the receiving cores. Let's move on to tight ends, which, again, there's all the big names are off the main slate on Sunday. The highest person is going to be Zach Ertz at 5,100. So what do you guys like in here?
I mean, my strategy is built around spending a lot elsewhere. I'm going to just kind of go through the top guys right here. Zach Ertz has seen a significant decrease in target share since DeAndre Hopkins is back. So don't like him. TJ Hawkinson, second most expensive. We know he's not going to play. He's on a new team. Don't go there. Darren Waller, kind of just a big name priced high, but hasn't done anything since week 2. And that gets you down to Gerald Everett, $4,800. I think that's the most I would go at tight end. All those top guys you can't touch. If you want to keep going, Kyle Pitts, I mean, he hasn't done shit all year, but you could throw it at him. So to me this week, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet at tight end. I don't like anyone, and just going to maybe throw a random guy in there and hope they get a touchdown.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising, Nick. I feel like tight end's always your wheelhouse, right? Like I feel like you got a good touch on those.
Yeah, I think if you always look at like the outside linebackers and the strong safeties specifically, that's where I kind of try and find the best mismatches.
Yeah,
and it's been working. So
yeah, I agree with you on the top 3 for sure. 2 guys that we've talked about in weeks past. I guess maybe not so much this first guy, Big Bob Tonyan. Corey's just mentioning it. He thinks Rodgers is going to have a great game, and pretty much none of those wide receivers have done anything this year. Big Bob's been on that team for a couple of years now. Him and Rodgers definitely have a connection. And Detroit's secondary, safety, linebacker, and core is nothing to write home about. And then the guy right below him, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp got banged up at the end of that game last week, dealing with an ankle. I think he still plays, but something to keep an eye on. He may be limited a little bit. And we see Tyler Higbee, aside from a couple of weeks ago against Carolina, 14 targets, 10 targets, 6 targets. Didn't get there the last 2 weeks, but it is going to get a good amount of looks again, I think. Although I will say, Tampa Bay's linebacking core is a bit hit or miss this year, but they do have some big names there. So it's a chance he doesn't get there. But those 2 guys I do like.
Dude, Nick, going back to you, Seattle's so bad against tight ends. Zach Ertz they could eat this week. But again, you did mention Hopkins being back, that will hurt his target share, or has hurt his target share.
Yeah.
A ton.
I just don't think for 5,000 he's worth that at all. Like, to me, he has the same upside. Like, I'd rather spend 1,000 less, go with Kyle Pitts or Tyler Higbee. Like someone who's going to get the same volume, just saves you a budget.
Yeah,
at least for this DFS stuff. I mean,
so last time
he's had 6 targets over 2 games.
I know, but last time
that's what he was putting up each week. So he
I mean,
kind of lost half his workload statistically.
I know, but last time he played Seattle, he had 10 targets, 7 receptions, 70 yards.
Yeah,
so
that was right before Hopkins came back. He had
obviously his target shares have dropped, but I think it'd be remiss if you didn't play any of Zach Ertz this week. Also, I think we kind of nailed everything else. Everett at 4,800, I think, we talked about that. I think that's a good look, especially with his top 2 targets being out. I think that's a good pick. And then Evan Ingram, he's been slowly getting. Did someone mention him?
No.
So Evan Ingram, 6 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets, 10 targets in his last 4 games. He got into the end zone last week for the first time this year. Going against the Chargers, who again just got absolutely dismantled on defense. So I'm definitely looking at that as well. So with that being said, let's go into what we've built up a lineup here for you guys, and you can copy if you want, but please don't do that. Just take pieces from it.
Maybe get a little bit unique.
Yeah. All right, going to quarterback. What do you guys where do you guys want to go? Do you want to pay up at quarterback, or do you want to pay up somewhere else?
I think I'm either going Kyler Murray D Hop stack or Kirk Cousins J Jets stack. Okay.
Nick, what do you like?
Both I like really priced.
For the Millie Maker, I'm staying away from the Kyler Murray thing just because I don't like interdivision matchups as much. I think those tend to be lower scoring. So I like Kirk Cousins in the revenge tour.
Yeah.
Let's throw him in here then.
Yep. The other piece with Washington, if we want to run this game back, I think we play Scary Terry at 59. I think it's just
love it.
Yeah.
Jahad Dotson's still out. Curtis Samuel's kind of your only other option there. And he did good with Carson Wentz, but he hasn't done anything.
He's a lot of the dump off screen slant routes. So his ceiling is fairly touchdown dependent. He's going to get some looks, he's going to get some targets, but it's a lot of short yardage stuff.
I like playing the talent here.
Yeah.
Do we want to just finish wide receiver? Maybe go get someone cheap from the Chargers.
I was going to say either we play. We could do that.
Palmer did clear concussion protocol, so.
But my other question is, I think we're going to have to double stack Cousins here because he's not going to get there on the run game. So that's either us playing him with, Thielen, or it's playing him with Dalvin Cook.
I don't think we have to. I definitely don't want to play Dalvin Cook because I think that Austin Eckler, I want to play either Austin Eckler, Gerald Everett, or Josh Palmer.
Okay.
I'm looking right now to see if AJ Terrell's back because I think that could limit.
I honestly don't hate KJ Osborne if we're double stacking Kirk. He's 1,400 cheaper than Thielen and has put up fairly similar numbers.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's build out. Let's go to running backs, and then we'll see what we need to do at the last wide receiver position here. I love Nick's call with Travis Etienne. You just saw what happened with the Raiders with Kamara. Kamara put 3 touchdowns. Travis Etienne's definitely going to be really popular this week, but he's getting the numbers right there, and you can see since
being absolutely feasting since they got rid of James Robinson.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is, in this price range, do we like Are we going to pay up for the Eckler one, or we like Aaron Jones? Do we like who was lower than?
Eckler and Aaron Jones both sound great, so it just depends how much money we have.
Okay.
I think let's try and squeeze Eckler in.
Okay.
And then we'll run back to Jones if we need to make some room.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's look at defense. I mean, look at any of the defense this week.
Buffalo, Carolina, Cincy.
I think you could probably get. I think the lowest scoring game this week is going to be the Bucks Rams.
Bucks at 3K.
Or maybe the Patriots defense. Sorry, Corey. I just don't see anything good coming out of.
They're 4,100. Yeah, right. And
yeah, it's too expensive.
Yeah. Who are the Jets playing?
Buffalo.
No, Bills are also the most expensive.
No, thank you.
All right. I don't really like the Bengals defense. They just lost their best cornerback. DJ Reader's out, and PJ Walker's playing on his head. So I don't prefer that one.
I don't mind the Bucks defense at home against a really bad offensive line with the Rams here, and Cooper Kupp is banged up, so I like the Bucks.
Okay.
All right, so that leaves us 3,700.
I do not think we're going to be able to get Eckler in there.
What about you could throw in?
We didn't talk about Dawson Knox at all.
Just
touchdown dependent for sure.
Yeah. I think someone's volume would be Everett. I think you have to play Everett at 800. I know he's probably gonna be the most popular tight end this week, but it is what it is. And then for flex, we can get really crazy and we could throw the Sammy Watkins in there at 3,600. But that's only
28.
All right. All right, move off Eckler to Aaron Jones.
42.
Right. That gets us some monies. 4,200.
How much cheaper is?
I would give you KJ Osborne, but I don't know if he's so.
What's like the cheapest defense? Maybe we could get some money back there.
Jets.
Jets, Panthers, Commanders. I don't like those bottom teams at all.
I don't hate the Colts.
I don't either.
Yeah, they're kind of like Patriots are kind of in shambles right now still.
And again, they're getting Shaq Leonard back, so that's going to help in the run game a lot, which is what New England's been leaning on.
I would do that. They're going to be low owned.
Let's see what that gets us to. 45.
Saves us 300.
I mean, you could double, and I'm not playing Pitts. I mean, you could, but oh, there you go, Deion Carter.
Who?
Deion Carter.
DeAndre, yeah.
Yeah, DeAndre Carter.
He'll be wide receiver too.
Yeah. I mean,
but do you want him and Everett? And then you're also banking on Sammy Watkins and Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I feel like if these two guys, well, maybe not. I was going to say if these two guys hit their ceiling, then Herbert is probably the quarterback player.
Yeah, what's Herbert at? What? Oh, he's 7,400, isn't he?
He's more expensive.
Yeah,
72,000 more. Damn. What if we went
off of Everett?
Yeah, we went Big Bob, and then was it, I guess 55.
Oh, okay.
But then you just have all Packers.
No. Well, we can move off
Jones, Watkins, right. Antonian.
Then we can go down to Aaron Rodgers at 5,900 and give us even more money for the extra flex position.
Mm-hmm. Probably very low owned too.
Yeah, I don't mind that. That's a low owned stack. That's 1, 2, 3. That's a slaughter. But
you're betting on a Green Bay shootout. So if he does put up 50 points, I mean, this is looking real nice.
I know, but the issue is, who do you run it back on the? We're at to get Amon, St. Brown. St. Brown.
66.
Yep.
$800.
Move off Scary Terry. And then that leaves us 5,100, which you can get. Oh God, that just puts doobies there, but we don't want to go doobies. You can go to. You could go to Palmer. There you go, Joshua Palmer. And get
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's a lot of eating for the
Packers.
Packers.
That's a lot of Packers.
It's a lot of Packers, but
It's
I
too
mean, it is the Lions defense.
I think it's too many Packers.
I was just saying I'm done with the bounce backs.
We're gonna clear this out.
Let's restart.
Let's clear it out. We're gonna get back
We'll cut that out.
our original stack.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
we like ETN. Maybe we try
Right.
and find a cheap running back.
I don't. There's not really a cheap.
where's
running back.
what about Dion
Carter? He's 5,200. No, Jackson. Sorry.
Jackson? Let's try that.
Is Taylor gonna play or?
He hasn't practiced the last 2 days.
Okay.
I think
Right.
for the sake of the show, we should assume he's not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Then go Colts defense again. 2,700. We like Big Bob.
I mean, I think we could afford Everett now.
Okay. Everett.
Everett a shot.
I think he's probably the best tight end play this week.
All right. So then we have two 5,100s.
I don't hate 66.
So if we did put, let's see how much we can get if we did put Sammy in there. 67.
You get like Amon-Ra St. Brown again.
Oh yeah, you can.
Why are these cube? Oh, you're in
I don't
all.
know. It, like auto sorted.
Are we in some super flex?
Yeah. Yeah, you could get him on Raw in there. We talked about DK.
I think I like the volume for Amon-Ra
What
St.
about
Brown.
Kenneth Walker at 6,200?
Don't hate that at all either.
Kung Fu Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, you could have the run back with Swift with the Sammy Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how healthy he is. That's the issue.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be limited for a while.
Yeah, and Campbell said on Monday that he still is not fully healthy, and that at least one of his runs should have gone to Jamal Williams instead. Like he's still not.
Okay, then I say we hit on St. Brown here at 6,600. I think he's going to get all the targets there. Subject to change throughout the week, but
I mean, I like that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Scary Terry, and Justin Jefferson. That's kind of a wagon of the wide receiver front.
yeah. And the only thing that really Deion Jack, the Jackson play could be detrimental, but if Taylor's a no-go, he's fully there. So
yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, that took a little bit longer than expected. That's what happens if you look up a lineup too long, you just start second guessing yourself, and
Yeah.
that doesn't fit. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. Follow us on social media. We'll be changing. We'll probably change around the lineup a little bit. But like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. And good luck with your Sunday tournaments.